This is the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Jeffrey Powers here. Welcome to the show we call Geek Smack. This show where we smack the geek out of you like, 3D printer guns getting made. We're going to be talking about that. 3D printers getting more popular and different ways to make cool things with 3D printers. But weaponry might not be one of those things that we want to allow. We're going to talk about that. Of course, we're going to talk about your Lego and all your geek stuff. And then, of course, we're going to talk about your tech news, what happened with Google yesterday and their Gmail outage, the whole Facebook thing, and, the whole Microsoft thing, and so on and so forth. We're going to do that. But first of all, we're brought to you by our friends over at Wirecast. Go over to geekazine.com/WirecastPC or geekazine.com/WirecastMac for your copy of Wirecast. And you can do this cool thing that I do with this show every single week. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, let's get into the show for this week. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show we call Geek Smack, the show where we smack the geek out of you every single week on this 12, well, it's 12/11/12 that we're recording, but for 12/12/12 consumption. This is Jeffrey Powers. If this is the first time you've come to the show, thank you very much for coming to the show on 12/12/12. Download it at 12/12, and maybe something special will happen. I don't know. I'm in Wisconsin, of course, Madison, Wisconsin. So we're calling it Aaron Rodgers Day, who is a quarterback of the Green Bay Packers. He's number 12 on the roster. So happy Aaron Rodgers Day to anybody that's celebrating, or anybody that has a number 12 for some reason. Maybe it's your birthday. Happy birthday, 12/12/12. It's a very important day, very special day. And, we won't see a day like this again. I mean, there is going to be no 13/13/13. Just not going to happen. No 14/14/14. We're going to have to wait pretty much 85 years, 86 years for the next one to happen. I don't think I'll be around 86 years from now. Just saying. Hey, I don't know if you noticed this, but we made some small changes. Let me back this up a little bit. Welcome to the studio updates. Made some small changes. I'm gonna make some more changes as we go along here. Sprucing it up for the next months. But the big thing was this backdrop, and actually to bring out the lights a little bit more. And hopefully you're really it's looking a lot clearer, a lot better. Did some positioning with the cameras, and of course leveling the cameras. I was finding that I was doing a lot of Batman moves with the camera for some reason, because it's on a slightly loose mount. And so the mount will turn left and right a little bit as I put the camera on. So I've been actually leveling it with an actual level, so it'd be nice and straight. Because you didn't like I don't know, did you like the Batman look? I can always change it to Batman. But usually that's the villain with the Batman. So we don't want to be the villain. We want to be the good guys to get you all the good tech and all the good geek news. So I hope that you're coming to the show every single week. We do this on Tuesdays for Tuesday evening, Wednesday morning consumption. Thank you very much for coming to the show. Of course, you can subscribe. That's the word, subscribe to the show notes by simply going over to Geekazine.com and go up to the RSS feed and then put that into your RSS reader. Of course, you can contact me many different ways. My Twitter handle is Geekazine. Of course, geekazine@gmail.com is the email address. And then the hotline, the super hotline, is 608-205-4378. This is my buddy Jesus move. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, hey, we started the Google Plus community. So if you go over to Google Plus, you'll see podcasters. If you're part of Google Plus, go over to the podcasters community on Google Plus. I'll have the link in the show notes so you can be a part of that. We've got about 280 people right now participating. So if you're a podcaster or you want to learn a little bit more about how to podcast, go over to this community over on Google Plus. Thanks to everyone that has joined in. I just wanted to, we've been sending out the circle every time it's been updated. It's going to get to a point where I can't send the circle out anymore. but at least with the first couple hundred people, they'll have. I'll send that circle out on there. So, what else? Tonight is actually the Twitter chat, the pod chat. We're gonna have Mignon Fogarty from Grammar Girl on, and we're gonna have a lot of fun on that. And you'll probably catch this show after that happens. But if you do catch it before it happens, please join us. We're going to be doing it at 8 p.m. Eastern. We do it every single Tuesday. Next week, we're going to be talking with Rob Greenlee, who was with the Zune, and he's now working independently now. And he's talking about how Microsoft is still working with podcasts. And we're going to have a nice little conversation on Twitter, pod chat with that. All right, CES, 3 weeks away. What does that mean? That means that in 3 weeks, I'm going to be in Las Vegas, Nevada. Zoom this back in here. 3 weeks, Las Vegas, Nevada. 3 weeks, we're going to be doing our live stream like we've been doing the last 3 years now. And, of course, we've got a lot of content. We've got a main sponsor on Go to My PC. Thank you very much for being a part of the sponsorship with TPN.TV and the Tech Podcast live stream. Still have some sponsorships available. If you're interested, Twitter me at Geekazine. Email me at geekazine@gmail.com. I actually did get a Twitter from somebody, but he wanted to be sponsored instead of sponsor. We can't sponsor people, unfortunately. But if we get enough sponsors, maybe we'll get a couple more people on there. You never know. So anyway, check it all out in 3 weeks, the live stream. Of course, head over to tpn.tv. Place that bookmark so you know exactly where to go. We'll also have the live stream on geekazine.com, so don't worry about that. And then, of course, fill out that Geek Smack survey. Thank you very much to those of you who have done that. I appreciate it much. We know how to make some changes, like, for instance, making it look a little bit less cluttered than what you thought it was. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, let's get into your Geek Smack or Tech Smack, actually, for this week. And of course, this week's brought to you by our friends over at Citrix and GoToMeeting. Let me load this up here really quick. All right, so basically, hey, it's time for meetings. They never change. You have to have a meeting on January 1st, January 5th, December 24th. They're essential to the business and our success. But in this time of year, between the holidays, between the weather and even sick days, because, the flu's going around, everyone getting them in the same room is almost impossible. That's why I recommend GoToMeeting with HD Faces by Citrix. It's the powerfully simple way to meet and collaborate with clients and coworkers, no matter where they are. If they're traveling, if they're snowed in, if they're homesick. You can get everybody in a meeting. And the best part is you can set up a computer. Let's say about 3 or 4 people are out of the office. You can set up the GoToMeeting session right in the conference room. People there live, people there on video chat. It works great. GoToMeeting allows you to share the same screen, making it easier to be on that same page. And with the built-in HD video conferencing, you can see each other face to face. So if there's a problem, you can go, hey, wait, I see that, you had a little look there. How you're confused? Let me know what you think. What do we need to explain? What do we need to talk about? It's so easy to launch or join a meeting, whether you're using a Mac or a PC. You can join on a smartphone or a tablet, but now you can also be a part and present from your iPad. You can even host a meeting from your iPad. I did it a couple weeks ago on iPad 365. Check it out over at geekazine.com or youtube.com/geekazine. Now, I've been using GoToMeeting for over 4 years. We do it for our roundtables. We do it for our meetings, the CES planning meetings. I do it one-on-one meetings with people. It's the perfect way for me to show them what I'm talking about, show them the fixes, and then get them on their way. And it's an easier meeting. It's a better meeting. And we don't have to meet a second time. And that's the coolest part. Don't take my word for it. Put it into your business toolbox. See the power of GoToMeeting. For this, and we're going to give you a 30-day free trial here. So for this 30-day free trial, visit GoToMeeting.com, click that Try It Free Now button, enter in the code podcast. Podcast will get you 30 days of this great software, and of course, it's by Citrix. GoToMeeting, where meeting is believing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into your Geek Smack for this week. I got to move stuff around here. So, what do you think of this new camera? Is this a little bit better than the FaceTime? I've just been using the FaceTime camera on there, but I decided to actually bump it up a little bit and bring up a more level camera here. So, let me know what you think there, and of course, Twitter me at Geekazine and tell me what you think. All right, let's get into your Tech Smack for this week, and. Oh, hey, here we are. Hello, how are you doing? We're going to start over at TechCrunch. TechCrunch is talking about their Bluetooth Apple TV and the likeliness to actually get Bluetooth support. There are some rumors that it already has Bluetooth support inside of the Apple TV, and they just haven't turned it on. But think about it. You put Bluetooth support, you can actually put a Bluetooth keyboard to it. You can have some Bluetooth headphones. So let's say you're watching Apple TV in the bedroom, and I'm trying to sleep, and I hate it when the TV's on. But Jennifer loves to watch TV or watch videos while she's trying to go to sleep. So she puts on these Bluetooth headphones, and she can watch whatever she wants. And I just have to put on like an eye mask and be good from there. The only thing that I'm hoping is that this is going to be a multiple Bluetooth. And if Apple doesn't have a multiple Bluetooth option, then they should try and put it in the next model. Because I would like to be able to have two sets of headphones running at the same time. One keyboard and a set of headphones running at the same time. So they don't trip over each other. Reason why two sets of headphones? You have a family of four. Maybe the kids are watching some show, or the parents are watching some show while the kids are trying to sleep. You put on those headphones, that's only for one person. But if you can do a dual headphone into your Apple TV, that's going to be a lot better, wouldn't you say? I know, I'd like that. So, but anyway, there's a lot of updates that are going to come on. They're talking about Siri possibly coming into play, and doing a lot more to make this more of a computer experience than just an Apple TV. So, and of course, some interesting icons have been showing up on Apple TV that are suggesting that apps might start coming into play. That would be kind of cool. I don't know. What do you think? Do you have an Apple TV? Are you excited for all these changes? Let me know. Twitter me at Geekazine. Of course, geekazine at gmail.com. All right, let's move over to the Verge. Gmail and other Google services went down. Chrome with them. Of course, Google Plus. I was trying to actually update a few things during that process, and Google Plus was just a pain to work with at the time. I didn't experience the Gmail going down, so I probably was one of the lucky ones, or I just didn't check my email at that time. But anyway, they said they found the problem. It was a Chrome sync thread that was the problem. They got it fixed. They're up and running again. There's no problems there. So if you want to check that out, read more on that, go over to theverge.com. All right, for some of you teachers there, this is over at corporatecomputer.com. The Samsung Series Chromebook 5 with Google Chrome is going to be available for $99 for teachers and schools. It's for teachers that are $99. You can buy a classroom of 30 people, 30 students for $99 each. So that's going to be about $3,000 to equip your classroom, which is not too bad. Compared to a $500 laptop, which is going to be more expensive. And of course, you're not going to have to worry about some of the applications. Anything that comes from Chrome, that's pretty much it. You put on those apps, and of course, I'm guessing there's parental controls in there. But if you want to check it all out, go over to Corporate Computer Tech News and Support over at corporatecomputer.com. Moving from there, we're going over to Forbes.com. They're talking about Google Fiber. Now, the big thing was, of course, Kansas City got Google Fiber over the last month here, and everybody has been kind of salivating over the idea. Okay, here's Google Fiber. Here you go. Have fun with it. And everybody goes, what would happen if Google Fiber just decided to do the whole United States? Now, that is a very big undertaking, and they valued it at about $140 billion just for the initial push. I don't. I'm thinking of the numbers, and I'm not financial whiz or anything like that. If you look at my financials, they're horrible. But the bottom line is, I don't see 140 billion in making Google Fiber around the United States. Now, Google has a surplus of $40 billion, so they couldn't just say, okay, let's do it. They actually need to have, they need to do a rollout. But, you do 1 year in Kansas City and you see if you double your money. If you double your money, then you put it into 2 new markets and then you see if you double your money there. You go on onward and forward, you go and see what happens. Now, there are some downsides to this. And the biggest one is your internet service provider, your Comcast, your Time Warners, your Charters, your Coxes, and even the Verizon FiOS. These are all competition to what Google Fiber is coming out. And if Google Fiber is coming out that way, maybe the ISPs are going to start thinking, we better beef up our internal internet service provider so we don't even need to worry about Google Fiber taking over our area. I mean, and some places have some really sweet internet connections, although they also have some really bad limitations to it with bandwidth caps and stuff like that. Charter actually set one plan $30 for the 30 megs down, 5 megs up. It's not the fastest thing in the world, but it does the job, and it does the job for me as a person that just needs to push out, videos and audio on a daily basis. So I'm not too. I'm happy with what I got, but with Google Fiber, I could do a lot more. And of course, Google Fiber was, I think, was going to be coming to Madison. It was really close between Madison and Kansas. I don't know, but we'll see what happens. And it'd be nice to actually see some competition to really push our bandwidth speeds to get them up to the levels that they're supposed to be. In the meantime, check it out over at Forbes.com. And we're going to move from Forbes.com over to ArsTechnica.com. This is actually a very scary. Take a look at this computer. You might have seen this in the last couple weeks or months or whatever. Basically, this is a computer that can hack a company, not just one person's computer, but a company worth of computers, like a small medium business, let's say about 200 people. 6 hours, it can find out all the passwords in that box right there, and it's got a multiple GPU. Was it 25 GPU cluster? And it can crack every standard Windows passwords in under 6 hours. And there's going to be easy passwords and there's going to be more difficult passwords. But this can go through and really do some damage. And they're showing you what the importance of having a good password. And I'm going to tell you right now, I say it again and again and again. Have yourself a good password. Have it with a capital letter, with a lowercase letter, with a couple numbers, and a symbol, like a $sign or an ampersand or a dash or something like that. The harder it is, the harder it is for them to crack. Now, a computer like that really doesn't care. It's just going to keep going until it finally finds it. But anybody that doesn't have something like this will just kind of stop after so long and say, no, this is too difficult to do, and we're not too worried about it. And making a password that complex is not that difficult. Think of 2 to 3 words, put them together, and mix up the numbers and the symbols, S's with $signs, I's with ones, so on and so forth. And then make that password your main password. And you get used to it. You really do. When I worked for the Department of Corrections, we had to have those types of passwords. And I made a password that really worked for me. It was super. It was a lot of characters and a lot of mixture of keystrokes, and it was very easy to type in. I just basically and it was in. So it does work. Trust me. Anyway, if you want to check out more on that, go over to artstechnica.com. Let's move on. Let's go over to where are we? We're back over at The Verge. Yahoo has struck a deal with NBC Sports for their online content. Now, as you know, Microsoft and NBC just split. MSNBC just split. So you're thinking to yourself, well, why would Yahoo want to get in bed with NBC? Well, it's going to give them a more close relationship and a lot more stuff that's going to be over on Yahoo than you're going to see on the internet in general. So NBC, now, I don't know if it's exclusive content or first pick of the content or whatnot, but Yahoo's supposed to be the main source for that. So are we going to call it NBC? Sports or NBC Who Sports or whatnot. I don't know. This actually looks pretty good, and I applaud Marissa Mayer. This is actually probably one of the first things that I've seen so far that has looked like promising for Yahoo. Well, that and the fact that they actually closed out their chat, which I thought was a good idea too, because that was, that was years ago in time. So anyway, if you want to read more on that, go over to TheVerge.com. Move over from there over to ZDNet. Check this out. It's there was a European bank. They had some malware, and it basically stole about $47 million from from bankers. So there was a paper released by Checkpoint that suggested that hackers working in Eastern Europe systematically were able to swipe approximately $47 million through a Trojan through your mobile phone. So if you do banking on your mobile phone, like I said, this is over in Europe. Possible it could come over to the United States. There's always that possibility. The probability, well, it's growing there. So I'm not ready to do mobile banking on my phone. I do have my PayPal account, and I do use it mobily, but most of my stuff I do on my desktop and my laptop right now. And it's always possible that these could get something that could definitely take into my bank account, but I'm limiting it because people are going to focus more towards the mobiles rather than the desktops. So if you want to read more on that, go over to zdnet.com. We got a few more articles here, but we're running out of time. I'm going to show you really quick over at 9to5Mac. Adobe is releasing a Retina version of Photoshop and Illustrator CS6. So if you've got a Mac with Retina display, you'll be able to make better graphics. Moving over to CNET, Google and Facebook are asking courts to reject patents on abstract ideas. This is basically patent trolls that are getting silly little patents like putting wires in clothing or anything like that. And it's a group of tech companies, and it's going to be a consortium to actually put this together. They're actually also working on getting the Kodak patents to get into a consortium. So there's not one person saying you need to pay $1 million for that patent because I own it. How to look at a screen. I don't know. There are silly patents like that. So, but anyway, that does do it for the tech end of Tex Mac. We're going to be actually no, we have two more articles. Whoa. Check this out. Wow. Okay, let's continue. Check this out over at Gadget.com. It's a custom enclosure designed to shove 160 Mac Minis into a single rack mount tower. Of course, these Mac Minis will be mini servers, and it's for if you have a Mac shop out there. And then finally, over at Apple Insider, Google is to sell off Motorola's set-top box business. Google TV not doing too good. I've talked about that in the past, and I told you, Google TV is not the way to go. Logitech tried it, and they said, we don't want to deal with Google TV. And everybody was saying, Google TV, that's the 500-pound gorilla. Well, the 500-pound gorilla doesn't budge. And I think the 500-pound gorilla hurt itself. So we'll see what happens. Maybe somebody can put some life into Google TV. It's best if Google just kind of put it on the wayside, focused on some other stuff, and maybe came back to it. But there are so many other set-top boxes out there that are 10 times, 100 times better than Google TV. Just saying. So, but check it out over at appleinsider.com. And that is the end of the text section. My name is Jeffrey Powers. What'd you think? Did you like it, not like it? Let me know. Twitter me at Geekazine. Of course, geekazine at gmail.com is the email address. And then the hotline is 608-205, there it is, 4378. We're going to be back. We're going to talk about your Geek Smack, and then we're going to talk about 3D guns, using 3D printers to make a gun, if we should allow it or if we should really be worried about it. And we're going to do that right after this. It's a happy holidays from Zag. And Zag's got a lot of great stuff. They've got the Invisible Shield, which is screen protection. I have it on my iPad. They've got the Folio case, Bluetooth keyboard. Now, the Folio Bluetooth keyboards actually can light up. So as you're working, then you can actually see what's going on with when you're typing if you're in bed or something like that. And that's pretty cool. They also have a lot of cool stuff, and they have skins, and you can actually print yourself a skin for your mobile device, for your iPhone or for your iPad. And then, of course, this thing right here, this is one of my favorite devices. This is the Zag Spark. Let me zoom in on it. The Zag Spark is a device that you plug in, it charges, and then when you're not near a plug outlet and your tablet or smartphone is low on juice, plug it in here and you get some more juice. And I use this a lot. It's an amazing product to have when you are not by a actual plug outlet. It's cool, and they have a whole bunch of other stuff. You can check it out over at Zag. Go over to geekazine.com/Zag. Geekazine.com/Zag. Of course, it helps Geekazine keep the lights on. I thank you very much. And then at checkout, use the code Geekazine because you're going to get a 20% off discount on select items. So check it out over at geekazine.com/Zag. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the geek section here. We're going to start over at theregister.com. For all you science geeks out there, congratulations. 40 years ago today, on December 11th, Apollo 17 touched down. This was the last Apollo mission to the moon. And so on December 11th, 1972, that was 40 years ago. That's the year I was born. Except I'm older than this. It was the day that Apollo 17 touched down. So 40 years later, we're now talking about coming back to the moon, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. So check it out over at theregister.co.uk. All right, moving on over to device.com. How about this little puppy right here? $24,000 transformer bot. 1/12 of the scale. It turns into a really nice car and then back into a robot. It's probably not going to do anything more than that. And I don't think you can drive it. But you can pay $24,000 to have it flip back and forth. There's a YouTube video out there. Of course, we'll have the link in the show notes, and you can check it out. And then Twitter me when you've seen it, and tell me what you think over at Geekazine. Got a couple from Gizmo. The first one, Apple apparently had a problem with their Apple Maps, go figure, that they basically said Mildura, it was in the middle of nowhere, actually 72 kilometers away from where it actually was. And there was a whole bunch of people that took it too much to heart. And next thing you know, they got stranded in the town of Mildura. So Apple has actually fixed that problem. There's a lot of people that were really not happy about it because apparently it was something where some of these people were actually kind of in desperation. They couldn't get out or something like that. I don't know. I'm not sure of that whole part, but I heard that some were they were just stranded. They didn't know what to do. They needed food. They needed water. La 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 la. So I don't know. We'll see what happens if there's any type of lawsuits that come from that. So, but if you want to check out more, go over to ogizmo.com. Also on Ogizmo, if you are a brandy connoisseur, how about a brandy pipe? Yeah, brandy pipe. This is the brandy pipe. Brandy, you're a fine pipe. What a good drink you would be. The whole idea is by holding the pipe in your hand, it's supposed to warm up the brandy so when you drink it, it's nice and warm. But the pipe, I think the pipe is way too close to the glass. And so, I don't know, you can only hold it like this, so it's kind of uncomfortable. But if it was brought out a little bit more, you could actually hold it in a way that you could actually warm up the brandy. So, I don't know. It's a brandy pipe. If you want to check it out, great. Probably a great holiday gift for anybody that loves brandy. So check it out at ogizmo.com. Moving on over to Mail Online. Check out this Lego-inspired Hermes Birkin. I don't know if I pronounced that right. I don't own these purses. It's a purse. It's a Lego purse. Yes, and it is a 20 by 26 by 13 centimeter bag. And it's $89, or I'm sorry, 89 pounds, which should be about $140 if I know my conversions correctly. And you can check that out. It's over at thedailymail.co.uk. Moving on, going over to boingboing.com. Check this out. It's actually pretty cool art. This guy, apparently, for 2 years, decided to record what he did on the computer. And this is a picture of everything that he did on the computer. Let's bring it down a little bit here. His name is Marcin Ignac, and he recorded everything for the last 2.5 years, and then created a visualization. I'm assuming those the black areas are when he didn't have the computer on, but you never know. So I'm guessing that this is internet or whatever programs he was running at a given time, and that's basically the artwork that he's created from that. So that's pretty impressive. And if you want to check that out, go over to boingboing.net and get your boing boing on. Moving from there, let's go over to Geekaloogie. If you are a SNES fan, then check this out. 721 games are available. These are all the games that Super Nintendo put out during its run, and somebody's selling it up on eBay. The eBay seller is called Kaizetsuna or something like that. And of course you can get this any game that was in the United States or Mexico or Canada. He's got it there, so you can check it out. The bidding's over at eBay if you're interested. So check it out over at geekaloogie.com. And ladies and gentlemen, that does bring us to the end of the Geek Smack section. What'd you think? Do you like? Let me know what you like, what you don't like on the Geek Smack side. You can always submit something by twittering me over at Geekazine or geekazine@gmail.com. And then, of course, the hotline, 608-205-4378. All right, when we come back, we're going to be talking about making guns with 3D printers. And that's a scary proposition. And we're going to explore that a little bit more. And we'll be right back. Over-the-top television is a great Christmas gift. Getting yourself a Roku is a better Christmas gift. Even if you don't get one, if you get like $100 from mom or dad or something like that, or whatnot, put it towards a Roku because you will not be disappointed. If you got an internet connection, you can put yourself a Roku on it and get yourself over-the-top television streaming. They've got channels from Netflix, from Hulu Plus, from Amazon, from Crackle, from HBO Go, from Epix, and the list goes on and on. You can use their remote, but now they've got the iPhone remote, which you can just download from the App Store, and you can use your iPhone to actually control the box. They've got on certain models, you can hook up a USB drive and play videos and pictures from there. And of course, prices start as low as $50, go all the way up to $100. And they're also working on the projector one. I don't know if you saw that little Roku device inside of a mini Pico projector, which you could then take wherever you wanted to and watch on the go. That's not out yet, but that's coming very soon. So check it out. They've got a lot of options with Roku. Go over to geekazine.com/Roku, geekazine.com/Roku to get yourself a great deal on Roku. 600 channels and lots of content. I was watching it right before I started this show. I watch a lot of stuff. I even check on my stuff, which you can find over at the Tech Podcast Network, which is on Roku as well. So check it out over at geekazine.com/Roku. All right, ladies and gentlemen, a couple weeks ago I watched an episode of CSI. They basically it was basically following several people that got arrested in Las Vegas during a one-night thing, but they all ended up interconnecting back together. The one thing that happened, though, there was a person that got shot. Actually, two people that ended up getting shot, and both of them got shot by a very interesting gun that didn't have any striations. What they finally deduced was the gun was created using a 3D printer. And they used a commercial 3D printer so they could trace it all back. But when they traced it back to the person that bought it, the 3D printer wasn't there. So the evidence was gone. They couldn't do anything from there. The idea is actually not impossible. In fact, the other day somebody made and basically fired a gun that was made through a 3D printer. Now we've got people like Representative Steve Israel calling for a ban on making firearms by using a 3D printer. But will that be enough? Will that stop anybody from actually making a gun using a 3D printer? 3D printers are growing in popularity in the last few years. They can make different prototypes of products or parts for inventions. Like, for instance, let's say a hinge broke off on my laptop. I could actually fabricate a new hinge and put it back onto my laptop, or something like that. A piece of plastic breaks. I can get them to make a new piece of plastic. And people are actually creating these things online and putting the schematics online, so I could actually just download it and print it out, so I don't have to worry about figuring out all the nuances, the metrics and stuff like that involved. And they've come out with a ton of stuff. And then, a couple weeks ago we saw the child meme, the little kid that's doing this. Somebody turned that into a 3D model through a 3D printer. Now, there's actually two sides to this coin. One is the 3D printer that you can buy now at Staples, which they announced a couple weeks ago that they're going to be doing. And then, of course, there's the ones you can actually make. It's open source. So you can actually buy yourself the parts. You can go to like MakerBot, and they give you a kit, and then you can build your own 3D printer. But the bottom line is you could actually, from scratch, make your own 3D printer if you know how to do it. There are websites, of course, that have, like I said, the open source design. So, like, let's say if you wanted to make a chess piece for a chessboard, maybe replace the rook on your board because your rook is damaged or missing, then you can go online, you can find a decent replacement rook, you download those instructions, you plug it into your 3D printer, it goes to work, and next thing you know, you have a rook. So these designs are pretty accessible. That could also include the design to make not only a gun, but also parts for a gun. Just download it on the USB drive and plug it into your printer. Now, what Israel is looking to do is have a DCMA takedown of any design that comes up on the internet. Only problem is, once a design is pretty much made, people are going to find ways to get it. It doesn't have to be on the internet. They could have a friend that has a friend that has a friend that has a share that's not open to the public, that you then pay $100, and all of a sudden you have a blueprint for a gun to put into your 3D printer. It's a great way to keep it from people from just finding it and making guns, but people are still going to find a way to do that. And of course, there's also the proposition that the 3D printer could recognize a gun design and actually stop printing. Hey, this is a piece from a gun. This is a gun. I'm not going to continue on here. Unfortunately, like I said, a lot of this stuff is open source, so those little types of chips might not be put in. Somebody builds their homemade 3D printer, it's not going to have that. There's going to be some programmers out there, they go out and buy a 3D printer from a Staples that have that I will call it a V chip for now, and they're going to go, yeah, let's just override that V chip. It's a concerning proposition, because if a gun could be made from a 3D printer with no metal parts, it could possibly go through some scanning systems without detection. Therefore, if you go through a security system, and of course you'd probably have to have that 3D gun taken apart piece by piece, so it just looks like a whole bunch of inconspicuous pieces, and then put it all back together when you use it, you've got yourself a weapon in a place that you shouldn't have a weapon. Now, can you stop something like that? Is there even a way? All you need is a couple $1,000s, and you can make any type of crude arsenal through a 3D printer. And the only saving grace, I suppose, out of this whole thing is that bullets still have to be made from some sort of metal. Otherwise, they just don't withstand it. Because those 3D guns, once they shoot, they're pretty much going to be toast. Maybe you get 2 shots out of it, 4 shots, if you got it really well designed. But eventually, that gun is just going to completely disintegrate, and then you're just going to have to get the next gun. So that's another good point. But if you make yourself a whole arsenal of guns, you shoot about 3-4 bullets, you go to the next gun, so on and so forth. It's interesting. It's very interesting. Kind of scary if you think about it. But what do you think? Do you think that we need to worry about this? Do we need to have rules in place for weapons of any kind? I mean, think about it. You have guns. You can also make knives. And they're not going to be metal knives, but they could be sharp enough to be a shank or something like that. A lot of different things we can do with 3D printers. A lot of great stuff we can do with 3D printers, but there's also a lot of bad stuff we can do with 3D printers. And even for those people that make guns, a 3D printer would have been a great thing to have, because then they could make a 3D model and say, okay, this can be done. Let's fabricate it into an actual gun. Like the shows we see on History Channel and A&E and all that, Sons of Guns and stuff like that. But what do you think? Do you think should we be concerned about this? Let me know. Twitter me over at Geekazine. Of course, geekazine@gmail.com is the email address. Hotline is 608-205-4378. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, that does it for this episode of Geek Smack. What'd you think? I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you'll be coming back next week, because we got a show next week. In 2 weeks, I got to figure out, because it is Christmas Day, but we're still going to have a show. Although it might be a day late. We'll see it could be a day early. We'll see what happens. But in the meantime, my name is Jeffrey Powers. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks a lot for listening. And we will be back next week when it will be another Geek Smack, and we'll have a lot more tech news and geek news for you. Until then, you guys geek out, and we'll see you next time. Take care.